I was very loud in my criticism when Disney and ABC pulled Jimmy Kimmel off the air. So last night, the news broke that Jimmy Kimmel was returning tonight. He was returning. Now, a couple of interesting and funny things about this. One, in their zeal to kill late night television, they've just rejuvenated it, because I suspect a whole lot of people will be wanting to hear what Jimmy Kimmel has to say today.
Big number tonight.
You would assume
but online
so.
the next day, probably on Twitter, they'll watch what he said.
Yeah. I also, but I think this might be one of the rare ones. I think America will give it a bigger number than has been gotten by that show in a while, because people will want to know immediately and not wait until the morning what Jimmy Kimmel has to say about everything, because it's been such a public thing. I also think that Colbert is looking around like, what about me? You made mine about money. The way that you framed mine was exclusively about money, when I don't believe it was exclusively about money. I believe money was one of the factors. But Jimmy Kimmel, and I had this conversation last week with Mike Ryan, in which he was saying that Disney and Bob Iger were in a tricky spot. That's why he's paid $65 million a year. Like, it's real easy to lead in not tricky spots. You're asking a CEO, I should say, he made $65 million a year the year he was paid the most. Now he's merely in the 30s and 40s because Disney is doing less well.
I know, Dad, it's a lot of money.
But Disney executives got together, ABC executives got together, and they made the correct decision because of public pressure, not because of actual courage. These corporations just put a finger in the air. They wet their finger, put it in the air, and then see which way the customer is blowing. And in this particular case, you had almost total alignment in a way that made me hopeful between Republicans and Democrats. But this is fairly seismic, the idea that they would reverse course on what was federal interference, censorship. They reversed course because of public opinion. That's encouraging, that the public made Disney fight.